Minister security chiefs to pay toll fees at Entebbe Expressway. That and more stories in our bulletin today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Nahawa Kajur, but first are the headlines. Nabanja said to meet Lazy Onek to settle matters. Tanzanian president calls on developed nations to fulfill Paris Agreement. In our sports today, Nsimbe on target as Bull Age inconsistent Mbarara City at Bugembe. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, motorists will starting 1st January 2022 to pay road toll for Entebbe Expressway. The Minister of Roads and Transport, General Katumba Wamala, made the revelation on Tuesday during the launch of engagements and commencing of tolling operations on the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway. Our reporter has more.
General Katumba Wamala said that all motorists who will use the expressway from the commencement date for tolling will be required to pay toll to use the expressway, adding that UNRA will in turn use the tolls collected to pay back the operator for operations and maintenance of the road and to repay the loan from China Exim Bank for construction of the road. Motorcycles with more than 400cc and not border borders will pay 3,000 shillings, light vehicles 5,000 shillings, medium good vehicles of 2 to 3 axles 10,000 shillings, large goods vehicles and buses of 4 to 5 axles 15,000 shillings, whereas large good vehicles will pay 18,000 shillings. According to General Katumba, the above fees will be for one-way use. He noted that the toll structure will also provide for discounts for frequent users of the expressway as an incentive for those who stay in Entebbe and work in Kampala or those making frequent trips between the two destinations. According to the minister, weekly users will be given a 50% discount for same-day return trips purchased in advance, whereas monthly users will have up to 70% in discount for 30 days return trips paid for in advance. He said from now until January, when the tolling commences, UNRA will sensitize motorists on how to use the tolling system but also to test it. The UNRA Executive Director Aline Kajina said the funds collected from using the road will be used to fund its operation and maintenance.
Moving on in our top stories, the Prime Minister Robert Nabanja is set to meet with the Minister for Disaster Preparedness Hilary Onek to resolve their fallout. The meeting, according to the sources, will be overseen by Vice President Jessica Alupo, who has been instructed by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to make sure the two reach an understanding to work together. We have more on this report.
The development follows a letter dated October 29, 2021, from Minister Onek, who threatened to resign over Nabanja's misconduct. In the letter seen by Nile Post, Onek said that ever since Nabanja was appointed, she has been usurping powers of his office by undertaking duties and projects meant to be handled by the Disaster Preparedness Office. Onek urged Nabanja to stop undermining him and his line ministers, or else he will tender in his resignation and let Nabanja take over. Nabanja, in response, said that Onek is lazy and that a character like his will not be allowed to fail government programs. The issue escalated and it was brought to Parliament for investigation. MPs on the Budget Committee asked Nabanja why she had diverted the funds, and yet it is the Ministry for Disaster Preparedness that is charged with responding to disaster issues. In her reply, the Prime Minister said that she needed the money to execute her plans to manage disaster-related issues. Since then, Onek and Nabanja have been in conflict up to October 29, 2021, when the Disaster Minister decided to put his discontent in writing.
Moving on, Uganda will on 9th November 2021 host the 60th Corporate Registers Forum Conference themed Ease of Doing Business, the role of corporate registries, aimed at bringing together government agencies for registration. Our reporter Kachancho has more.
Speaking to the press at the Uganda Media Center, Mrs. Maseka Inogwisho, the Registrar General Uganda Registration Services Bureau, said the aim of the forum is to provide members with the opportunity to review developments in the corporate business registers and exchange experiences and information on the present and the future operation of corporate business registration systems and the security systems.
this Corporate Registers Forum, Uganda is honored to take this opportunity to showcase the achievements that have been made in as far as registering businesses are concerned. We know that Ugandans have not yet adapted to the formalization of their businesses, and not many businesses are registered. To mention that we have a register of less than 1 million registered businesses in Uganda. Specifically, that is around 800,000 registered businesses in Uganda. And we want to use this opportunity to call upon Ugandans to register their businesses as we host this international conference.
Ms. Massey said that it's very important and beneficial to register businesses by owners because they gain access to essential business requirements like financing, marketing, and procurement services.
When you are registered as a business, there are so many benefits in terms of access to finance, access to markets, access to the procurement services or providing services to any entities, among many other benefits. So we call upon every business holder there to register their businesses. And in this conference, these are the conversations that we will have. We shall be sharing experiences with over 100 countries that will be in attendance, but also we expect thousands of participants since it's online, and you're advised and encouraged to register so that you enjoy the benefits of this conference.
Hosted under the theme Ease of Doing Business, the role of corporate registries. The conference will be hosted virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic and restrictions.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In our international news today, the Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on leaders of wealthier nations to take into consideration the special needs and circumstances of Africa in the fight against climate change.
Addressing the world at COP26 climate conference in Glasgow, he said Kenya has developed a plan to maintain low carbon development trajectory by 2030. He further called on leaders of developed nations to provide tailor-made support for Africa, as Africa has its own challenges. Dozens of small island states and major low-lying cities worldwide are worried about the impact climate change could have on their country if urgent measures are not taken. President of Seychelles, Wavo John Charles Ramkalawan, said during his address that when he hears the expression rising sea level, he gets scared because it brings home the awareness that his country's granitic islands will lose all the economic activities happening around the coast. Ramkalawan added that he feared the Seychelles, the beautiful archipelago of 115 islands, may be reduced to less than 50 islands as the coral reefs disappear. He said that Seychelles is less responsible for the planet's destruction, but on the contrary are doing their utmost. A group of climate activists was present outside the venue of the conference, rallying against the use of fossil fuels. They put across a message saying, "We are watching you."
Moving on in our international news, Tanzanian President on Tuesday during her COP26 speech in Glasgow called on developed countries to fulfill climate finance goals on donating $100 billion by 2025 to facilitate the implementation of Paris Agreement. We have more on this report.
Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan made the national statement on the second day of the COP26 UN Climate Summit in Glasgow on November 2nd, 2021. The President of Tanzania criticized advanced societies for lagging behind while developing nations like her own showed leadership in the fight against climate change. She said that they know what is required and know that if the world will not act accordingly, the countries like Tanzania with lower adaptive capacity have no option but to brace for more devastating impacts. She added that their pride, the mountain Kilimanjaro, is drastically becoming bald due to glacier melting. The exotic and beautiful archipelago Zanzibar is struggling with temperature rises, saltwater intrusion and inundation, thus impacting its tourism ecology. President Samia Suluhu Hassan say that such a scenario for a poor country like Tanzania means that 30% of its gross domestic product that comes from agriculture, forestry and fisheries is not sustainable. In 2009, developed countries agreed to raise $100 billion per year by 2020 to help the developing world deal with the fallout from a warming planet. The latest available estimates from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development show that the funding hit $79.6 billion in 2019, just 2% more than the preceding year.
Moving on, Gabon is the first African country to be rewarded for its efforts against deforestation at the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow. Now the Nkok Special Economic Zone, the flagship in the Gabonese economy in 10 years, has been ranked as the best industrial zone in the world in the timber sector by FDI Intelligence, a service from the Financial Times in 2022. We have more on this report.
According to Igor Nyambismadi, the managing director, Arise IIP and Arise IS Gabon, the country obtained carbon neutral certification less than a month ago. The nation, which is still dependent on oil, has undertaken a series of actions in favor of the transition to a green economy by relying on ecosystems and the climatic and meteorological conditions of its territories. Cecile Havot, TRESA Technical Coordinator, said that TRESA aims to contribute to the preservation of Gabon's wildlife and its vegetation. The main challenge of the Green Gabon operational plan is to reconcile the needs of current generations with those of the future generations. However, human-wildlife conflict risks compromising the country's biodiversity conservation efforts. According to Nikeis Moulombi, the human-wildlife conflict in Gabon is a situation where the populations pay a heavy price to the benefit of the international conservation, adding that it is this challenge that must be reversed.
Away from that, Ethiopia's cabinet on Tuesday declared a nationwide state of emergency as Tigrayan rebels seized two crucial towns in an apparent push towards the capital, according to state-affiliated media. Our reporter has more.
Fana Broadcasting Corporation reported, referring to the Tigray People's Liberation Front, that the state of emergency is aimed to protect civilians from atrocities being committed by the terrorist Tigray People's Liberation Front group in several parts of the country. In recent days, the Tigray People's Liberation Front has claimed control of two key cities about 400 kilometers from Addis Ababa and has not ruled out marching on the capital, which has so far not seen anything fighting. The government has denied claims of Tigray People's Liberation Front territorial gains, which, if confirmed, would represent a major strategic advance. Much of northern Ethiopia is under a communications blackout and access for journalists is restricted, making battlefield claims difficult to verify independently. Earlier on Tuesday, officials ordered Addis Ababa residents to register their firearms and prepare to defend their neighborhoods. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed sent troops into Tigray a year ago to detain and disarm the Tigray People's Liberation Front, a move he said came in response to attack on army camps. The 2019 Nobel Peace Laureate promised a swift victory, but by later June the rebels had regrouped and retaken most of Tigray.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. We take a quick break. Shall come back with the business news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In a business news today, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, makala is an essential part of life. 95% of the population uses this type of charcoal for cooking, but it is also one of the main causes of deforestation. Now, in Kisangani, in the north of country, a women's association in producing green charcoal from sawmill waste. We have more on this report.
An environmental and social project launched by CIFOL, an international scientific organization dedicated to the research and protection of the forest and financed by the European Union. Otoke Fatma, president of the local women's association, said that she has been working since 2002, but she was not getting by adding that since the forest project trained them with the waste from the sawmill, they can now send their children to school and eat. The technique to produce makala is to pile up pieces of wood, cover them with green leaves, then with a thick layer of soil. The fire is lit inside and the carbonization process begins. Adding elements such as a chimney and side vents improve profitability and efficiency from 40 to 50% of unburnt wood down to 3 to 4%. The carbonization time is also reduced. Scientists are now looking at ways to improve this technique even further, in particular to protect workers from toxic gases when they are defueling. An average family consumes 150 kilograms of makala per month, which means a budget of $10 to $18 when monthly incomes in DRC vary between $50 and $100.
Away from business, in our health news today, beer company Uganda Breweries Limited has partnered with Buganda Kingdom to hold a mass COVID-19 vaccination exercise aimed at driving the vaccination uptake among the population. Now, the event will be held at Bulange between Saturday, November 6th and Sunday, November 7th, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We have more on this report. While addressing the media on Tuesday, Katikiro Charles Peter Maiga said that vaccination remains the strongest response to this pandemic and a full return to normal, adding that it's the safest and most sustainable way to ensure we safeguard both the health and economic well-being of our people. The event will provide several mobile vaccination stations in one location and will enable those who need to receive their first and second jabs to get them with ease, as both Pfizer and AstraZeneca doses will be available. Jackie Tahakaniziwa, the corporate relations manager for Uganda Breweries Limited, said that their priority is to increase accessibility of COVID-19 vaccines, making it as safe and convenient as possible for people to get vaccinated. Over the past 2 months, UBL and Coca-Cola have supported the scaling up of COVID-19 vaccines by extending mobile vaccination sites to bars, markets, and public centers with the Greater Kampala metropolitan area. The drive has also focused on public sensitization to drive awareness of the benefits of vaccination as a measure against the prevailing pandemic. According to statistics from the Ministry of Health, total doses of COVID-19 vaccines administered stand at 3.1 million. Government has also set at least 4.8 million as the target in order to allow the safe and full reopening of the economy. Reporting for TV Africa News, Nahawe Kajura. Well, let's turn your attention to our sports news today. Bull Football Club outsmarted Murray City on March Day 5 of the Star Times Uganda Premier League 2021-2022 concert played at the Chabazinga Stadium, Bugembe in Jinja City. Now, new signing Ibrahim Nsimbe, a second-half substitute, volleyed home the lone strike on the sunny evening in the 65th minute. We have more on this report.
Nsimbi, who was captured from relegated Malaba Youth Development Association, was the hero with a well-struck volley past the advancing goalkeeper Muhammad Sekewa, overtailing delivery on the right flank by roving right back Umar Mukobe. The hosts defended gallantly to earn maximum points that take them third on the 16th team log with 9 points of 4 matches played. All the 3 cautions in the game were given to Bull players Richard Aiko, Mukobe and goalkeeper Said Kenny in the 52nd, 80th and 84th minutes respectively. Bull defender Douglas Muganga was rewarded with a man of the match honours, taking home a plaque and cash worth 100,000 shillings. This was Mbarara City's second loss of the season, which leaves them on 6 points and 6th on the log. The Ankoli Lions fell to Toro United 1-0 and had recently condemned Arua Hill 2-1 at the Kacheka Stadium in Mbarara City. Meanwhile, the table leaders Kampala Capital City Authority lost their first points of the season during the 1-1 draw on the road to Soltilo Bright Stars under the rainy conditions at Kavumba Recreation Stadium.
Thank you so much for being a loyal audience from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.